LNG landowners told they will be paid. Families of deceased policemen clear roadblock. Opposition members ready to debate budget.
This is the National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Saturday's news. Landowners in the PNG LNG project have been assured that their royalty payments will be processed soon. Acting Secretary for Petroleum and Energy, Kepsi Puya, gave this reassurance following concerns by landowners over the delay in royalty payments. He says plant site landowners will be the first to be paid. This week, landowners of the PNG LNG project called on the national government to fast-track royalty payments. These landowners, representing wellhead communities, called on state agencies responsible to ensure that the benefits from the country's first LNG project flowed on to the traditional owners of these resources. In response to these calls, the PNG Gas Projects Coordination Office, Mineral Resource Development Company, as well as the Department of Petroleum and Energy have assured landowners that royalties will be released.
This is a very important national project, so all these elements need to be managed and addressed in a very positive manner.
Yeah.
The upstream landowners will be getting 72% of the total royalties as well as the equity payments paid by the project. And the other 28% goes to the plant site and the pipeline landowners.
At present, landowners from the project plant site in Central Province will be the first to be paid as they have completed the clan vetting process.
15 million will be paid to the plant site landowners. Of that, 60% will be kept by MRDC as per the Oil and Gas Act. The plant site landowners have to appreciate that once upstream is not right, then we're going to actually end up destroying the project.
We've done a lot of things in preparation for payments to the plant site landowners. We've actually followed the ministerial determination for the plant site. We still have yet to do the ministerial determinations for the pipeline and also the license areas up.
The Mineral Resource Development Company, MRDC, is responsible for the facilitation of the royalty payment exercise. According to its General Manager, External Relations, Imbi Tagune, once all clan vetting issues are sorted out, particularly at the project upstream areas, royalty payments there will begin.
Almost over 3 years of exporting LNG, we still don't know who the landowners are. It's very unfortunate, but with the new minister, we've already agreed that between September and December this year, we need to take a very proactive approach to secure funding.
However, given the pace of progress, this could take place early next year.
Minister is very positive that I think he's going to now put together a affirmative program on how we're going to roll out to see all the beneficiaries along the pipeline to the plant to the license areas benefit from their royalty and equity money.
Police in Mount Hagen have cleared sections of the Highlands Highway in Jiwaka, which were blocked off by relatives of a policeman killed during the national elections. This morning, 2 units of mobile squad, including the National Security Unit, met with relatives of the deceased and came to a compromise. The negotiations lasted for at least 5 hours before the relatives agreed to clear the blockage. The closure of the road in Aviamp, Jiwaka, has affected the transportation of goods, including medical and education supplies to other parts of the Highlands region for at least a week now. This is the second time families of the deceased policemen have blocked off the Highlands Highway. The demands of the deceased relatives are yet to be addressed by the national government. Opposition leader Patrick Pruich says the opposition is intact despite rumors of members moving to government. He added the opposition is preparing to debate a possible supplementary budget if tabled in the coming parliament sitting.
Responding to questions asked on rumors of Pango Party leaving the alliance, the opposition leader says at this point he has not received any formal notice. He maintained the alliance is intact.
So we respect Pango Party insofar as this rumor is concerned, but until they make a grand announcement, until the deputy leader of the opposition consult with me, I'm unable to confirm that.
However, the opposition leader confirmed Ijivitari MP Richard Masere will join the government after he sits with the National Alliance executives.
National Alliance as a party has its protocol to be observed, and we would like to Richard to sit down with the party in terms of following our party requirements if you decide to resign from the party. Until that happens, National Alliance will not release any of its members.
For this month's parliament sitting, Pruitt says they will head into parliament with this plan.
We will not unnecessarily oppose the government. When we oppose the government, that means that the policy, the stance of government, the options that they are taking are not in the interest of our country.
And if a supplementary budget is to be floored in parliament, the opposition leader says,
my advice to government is that concentrate on the 2018 budget than worrying about the supplementary budget, because supplementary budget will not have any substantial effect in assisting the economy.
Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV News.
A number of senior lecturers at the University of Papua New Guinea and their families have been without proper water for at least 9 days. Residents say this is a result of illegal water connections to another party residing outside the UPNG premises. In the 9 days, lecturers affected have been fetching water from the homes of friends and relatives. Some have even travelled out of the Waigani area to find water. The UPNG management is yet to respond to this issue, but those affected say they want immediate action. Rivers and creeks are running dry in Rigo district as the dry season takes its toll. Locals are concerned about the impact it will have on their communities. Member for Rigo, Lekwagure, says he wants to find cost-effective solutions for his district.
If you're on the Magi Highway to Kwikila Station, there is one thing you can't miss. Small creeks and rivers that were once flowing are now drying up. At Saroa village, they have to walk 40 minutes to source water. But villagers showed us a well they used to wash with and tanks hidden in the shade to hold their rainwater. Local Saroa ward councillor said there was a water project initiated by former member Anopala but came to a halt due to funding.
It's happening. So what we want is, when we talk about service delivery, first and foremost must come is our water project.
The member for Rigo, Lekwagure, says that food and water security is an area he will be looking into.
Food and water security. We have a great resource called the Cape Welsh River that runs right throughout the district and ends up at the place called Carlo on the coast. So that's a great resource that maybe we should find cost-effective solutions to harness this resource for agricultural, drinking water purposes, and even rural electrification.
While Water PNG is only supplying water to the Kwikila station, the member hopes to establish water projects in each village.
We have a general water supply system in the Rigo district, in each community they just do, or they do with whatever they have, whether they are water wells or water tanks earlier on, this water supply system. They were going to do it for the Carlo community only, but we've asked them to relook at the capacity so that it can supply water for other neighboring villages on the Holt Point Peninsula.
In a Rigo inland village, Valley Barona's family are subsistence farmers who also walk to source water to also use for farming. Their fresh produce is sold in Port Moresby and at the Kwikila market. Their sales supports her son, who is a final year student at the University of Goroka.
Big Plawara, because all dry season and been using water pump because
with the pending dry season and water sources drying up, waterborne diseases are a concern. Adelaide Sirox Kari, National EMTV News.
Here with National EMTV News, we'll have more stories after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Security planning for the northern region towards APEC in 2018 has been delayed due to funding constraints. Despite this, Assistant Commissioner Police, Northern Region, Peter Guinness, says police and security personnel in Lae and Madang have been training under the assistance of the Australian Federal Police. The Northern Region will be hosting up to 15 activities, according to ACP Guinness.
Security preparations for the Northern Command towards the APEC meeting in 2018 were delayed due to funding constraints. Assistant Commissioner Police for the Northern Region, Peter Guinness, said lead-up meetings had to be halted.
We were supposed to go to Madang to discuss about this APEC training and APEC security, but unfortunately we were not able to go because of funding issues.
Despite these constraints, more than 150 officers in Lae and Madang received training in the past weeks through the assistance of the Australian Federal Police.
What's the situation?
These were police and security officers, National Airport Corporation staff and other stakeholders. They were trained on aviation security, risk assessments and bomb searches in preparation for the APEC meeting. According to ACP Guinness, about 15 activities will be held in the Northern Region.
It will also help my management team to put together a supplementary operation order in reference to the APEC security.
Security planning for the main event is still to be done.
But I'd like to see that, it comes through, and then we can then be able to do that and sit down and plan for the main event that will come, or the lead-up meetings that will be conducted here in Madang, Lae and Goroka.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
The student boycott at the University of Natural Resources and Environment has dragged into its 4th day. Yesterday, the students presented a petition to the Office of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology demanding the removal of the university's council. The boycott began on Wednesday after the university's council reinstated Dr. Samson Laup as the Pro-Vice Chancellor Academic and Masi Fuawe as the Registrar.
Yesterday, the student leaders presented a petition containing all their grievances to the Office of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, and they have made their stand known publicly that they will stay away from class. For now! The petition contained a list of demands. First and foremost is a call from the students to remove the university's council and revoke the reappointment of Dr. Samson Laup as the Pro-Vice Chancellor Academic and Masi Fuawe as the Registrar.
Upon council decision on Friday, without notifying us in any form of circular out to the public and to the students or to the notice board or to us, the office of SRC.
On Wednesday, the student began the boycott after learning that the 2 senior staff were reinstated. The students were discontent over their reappointment due to past allegations of maladministration leveled against them. Meanwhile, UNR's Vice Chancellor, Professor John Warren, in a meeting with the students on Thursday, has urged them to return to class and complete their academic year. Professor Warren told staff and students during the meeting that they must respect the council's decision. Barricades put on the doors of the 2 offices on Wednesday were removed on Thursday, but the student leaders have maintained their stand that they won't return to class until they get answers to their petition. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
World First Aid Day was observed at Nature Park in Port Moresby today. Organizations in support of the first aid set up booths and displayed a number of first aid approaches. Red Cross PNG led the celebrations under the theme Domestic Accidents. The aim of the program was to create awareness and prevent injuries, especially at home. A good number of children attended the event and were encouraged to be careful when playing around the house and taught how to respond to injuries. Today's activities were supported by organizations including Bishop Brothers, the PNG Defence Force and the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. Iriani Wanma, a 27-year-old Papua New Guinean author, took part in celebrations marking Literacy Week in Port Moresby. Ms. Wanma wrote the book titled Oa the Grasshopper and Kaipa the Caterpillar. Her book was published by Book Belong Pikinini and is read by hundreds of children around the country.
Irani is one of a few young Papua New Guinean authors who write books for children. She started her education at Coronation Primary and had a special interest in writing. Her family moved to Australia, where she completed her studies. In 2014, when Irani was just 24 years old, she wrote the book Oa the Grasshopper and Kaipa the Caterpillar. Her book was published by Book Belong Pikinini and copies made available at Book Belong Pikinini libraries around Papua New Guinea.
I'm just very happy that Book Belong Pikinini has published my story and just thankful for everyone who showed up today.
The book is about a story of a friendship between a caterpillar and a grasshopper and how the caterpillar transformed into a butterfly. Irani plans to write the second part of Oa the grasshopper and Kaipa the caterpillar soon. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Yeah, with National EMTV News, when we come back, stories making headlines overseas. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Turning overseas now, the tiny Caribbean island of Barbuda, devastated by Hurricane Irma, has been the scene of desperate evacuation efforts today. Category 4 Hurricane Jose is now bearing down on the island. Transporting every single survivor to shelter on neighboring Antigua is a race against time.
The island of Barbuda was once a Caribbean paradise. Now it is lost. Hurricane Irma has reduced it to rubble. Homes are unrecognisable. The ruins lie scattered, torn and ripped apart. Having survived the worst storm in living memory and knowing another is on the way, people are exhausted, hungry and just desperate to leave. The core of the hurricane carved a cruel and deadly path through these streets. A 2-year-old died, drowned as her mother tried to move her to safer ground. But incredibly, the rest of the people on this island survived the storm's wrath.
Be taken care of.
The Prime Minister has travelled from neighbouring Antigua to provide some reassurance.
Be patient, we're going to get you all out.
He knows this is a race against time before Hurricane Jose arrives in just a few hours. We heard him haggling for every boat, helicopter or plane to help with the evacuation.
Can it land here though?
The sheer horrifying scale of the devastation here means that barely a building is salvageable. That means that the whole island will have to be rebuilt. And the government has already admitted it simply doesn't have the money.
The hope is that the funds will come from somewhere.
We're hoping that, friendly governments and our international partners will step up to the plate and assist us. They should not see this as a form of, let's say, the Prime Minister and the people of Antigua and Barbuda coming with a begging bowl, cap in hand. This is a disaster, a national disaster.
The fragments of people's lives now lie in ruins. They can only hope that one day they will once again call this island home. But for now they must leave by any means possible, including this towed barge. And they don't know when they will return.
Researchers have developed a new test for Parkinson's disease, which can pick up the condition long before physical symptoms are recognized. It's been hailed a groundbreaking move.
When 67-year-old Peter Honey's hands started relentlessly shaking 20 years ago, he was eventually diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
You know something's wrong, but you're not sure what it is.
Partner Elsie Menon, who he met at a yoga class, also endured countless medical appointments before her diagnosis.
For me to accept Parkinson's was a bit hard. I thought that was the end of my life.
While Parkinson's is the most common neurological disorder after dementia, there is no diagnostic test for it. So many people suffer unknowingly for years before symptoms are recognised and treatment begins.
By the time patients start having tremors or the shakes or stiffness, slowness of movements, 80% of the brain cells have already died.
Now, Australian researchers have developed a new screening tool to help indicate early on if someone has Parkinson's. Patients are instructed to draw a spiral, which is analysed by specially developed software. A loss of dexterity is one early indicator of the condition.
And there is where the difference between the person with Parkinson's disease and the person without Parkinson's disease is.
The test is proving 93% accurate, but more refinements are needed before it becomes routine. And when it comes to living with Parkinson's, knowledge is power.
If I can control the Parkinson's, the rest of my life seems to fall into place pretty well.
Being positive is the best thing for me.
The descendants of important Maori figures and authorities in New Zealand have agreed to an historic pardon. The Maori settlement was raided 101 years ago.
a weary welcome for the Crown. Government officials deep in Te Uruera as moves are made to pardon Tūhoi prophet Ruakenana.
The blood is always there. Okay, it might rain and all that, but the blood is still there.
100 years ago, many Pākehā saw Ruakenana's City of God at Maunga Pohatu as a threat. Preaching equality and pacifism, he was put under police surveillance. In 1916, 70 armed police were sent in, killing 2.
They shot my great-great-grandfather Tamaipi in the back of the head, as well as Ruakenana's son Toko.
The horror that happened to our grandmothers, the rape, the pillaging of their homes by the police, those are the horrors.
People huddling close or indoors as speakers braved the elements. No job too small for Tūruro Flavel, who worked for the pardon.
The people here asked if I could do something to rid them of the stigma associated with the events of what happened here. A great day, wonderful day, as we head on the marae, albeit the weather is ugly.
Ruakenana's pardon is for the conviction he received for moral resistance to arrest. It'll have to pass through Parliament, and that legislation will include a Crown apology and a declaration restoring his reputation and that of his descendants.
It's for us to keep our koro's history alive.
These hills watching history unfold once more.
Here with National EMTV News, up next some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with Rugby League, and Lacenex Tigers have claimed the Digicel Cup for the second year in a row, defeating the Rabaul Agma Warriors 11-10 in Port Moresby this afternoon. This is the second consecutive win for the Lacenex Tigers, and the second time for both teams to clash in the grand final. The match was played at the Sir John Guy Stadium in front of a packed crowd. We hear celebrations have already begun in Snacks Tigers' hometown in Lae, so congratulations to the Snacks Tigers. Moving on to basketball tonight, we feature another basketball star player in the men's basketball team training for the FIBA Melanesian Cup. Sibona Kala made his comeback to the national side after several years out of the limelight.
Meeting Sibona Kala, regarded as the dark horse by his friends, he's making a comeback in the national team after being absent for 5 years.
I've been playing since I was 18, so that's like 20 plus years back. Started off at Hola with the Saints Basketball League and with the basketball club, and I'm still playing for Saints. And this is my second time to rep Papua New Guinea.
Kala made his debut in the national colours at the 2011 South Pacific Games in New Caledonia at the age of 26.
Papua New Guinea further in front, 4:08 remaining. I thought about coming out, but eventually it fell.
New Caledonia may be Kala's first call-up in the senior men's side. However, the lad from Gairis Central Province represented NCD at the Arafura Games earlier.
Yes, before that, probably 4 or 5 years before that, I was playing in the development squad. So I rep NCD, going down for Arafura Games, a couple of trips. We did a couple of Cairns trips with our head coach Joel.
Kala plays as the shooting guard or number 2, which is usually the best outside shooter of the team.
My role is to play off the point guard. I do a lot of shooting and a lot of running. I play usually outside, but my specialty is shooting from outside. So.
Kala draws his inspiration from former PNG representatives, whom he played alongside in the New Caledonia 2011.
There are a couple of boys that I look up to, former reps like Colin Kila, Ricky Ani, Lawrence Lahari as well. He's my brother-in-law as well. Boys that play for Saints, Peter Davani, and I was lucky enough to play with them. 2011, and it was a it was a pleasure to play with these boys that I looked up to.
The 31-year-old expressed confidence in the team leading up to the championships.
The combinations are there. We all play for different clubs, but when we get together as PNG, we lock in and then we play. I'm pretty sure we can stand up against our brothers from Melanesia, coming across. Looking forward to the New Caledonia game. That's going to be a tough one.
Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
High-performance sports programs are the backbone for all national teams and elite athletes. That's from Sports Foundation CEO Peter Tsiamalili. He wants to ensure athletes training under the high-performance program are better prepared for the Mini South Pacific Games and the next Pacific Games.
PNG is the first island nation to join 80 other first world countries with its high-performance program. The program is into its 4th year of operation. The move puts PNG ahead of other Pacific Island nations. Sports Foundation CEO Peter Tsiamalili Jr. says the high-performance program will take charge of elite-level athletes. Tsiamalili said the new sports ministry will continue to support the high-performance program. High Performance Director Aaron Alsop said High Performance has worked hard over the last 2.5 years to establish itself in the country. Sports-related education programs will also be rolled out for coaches to upskill their knowledge. Alsop said PNG is heading in the right direction with its high-performance program, especially attracting countries like Australia and New Zealand to work together. While much attention has been around the elite athletes, High Performance is working to establish programs for coaches as well as talent ID programs through a partnership with James Cook University. The focus now moving forward for the High Performance will be the Mini Pacific Games, Gold Coast Commonwealth Games and the 2019 Pacific Games. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Very few young people, can attest to creating their own brand, but that is what footballer and soon-to-be entrepreneur Shannon Andrew is hoping to do. The former PNG Youth Olympic ambassador is embarking on a strategic approach to football as well as ushering a new brand for the sport.
Hi, my name is Shannon Andrew. I'm a former footballer, having played for Hepburn United, FC Port Moresby, Admiralty United and the Gigira Laitepo Kumis. I'm 25 years of age. I'm currently the founder, owner and managing director of East Coast Football Club.
For Shannon Andrew, football has always been in his blood. Having once lived in the English city of Manchester and having the opportunity to watch footballing icon David Beckham was a major influence on his life. That influence, coupled with various stints in the National Soccer League, has afforded him an insight into football's off-the-pitch background. And he is now embarking on the next stage of his life.
What I want to do with, what I wanted to create with East Coast Football Club is something different in a sense where I want to create a pathway for these footballers, create employment opportunities for them and see if we can build on these footballers, not to just to focus on their football careers, but to also shape and mold them to become ambassadors after football so that they can serve as great role models for the younger generation to come.
While for some it may seem that forming a football team to participate in any tournament is an easy feat, Andrew has focused on other issues as well that impact players off. And he is hoping to use his club as a platform to address these, as well as other social issues affecting Papua New Guineans.
A major influence, there's probably some kid that's looking up to Raymond Gunemba right now and saying, I want to be like Raymond Gunemba, But he needs a proper pathway. He needs support. He needs a career after football to strengthen him so that he can be that person that kid will look up to.
And he isn't just talk. Already in contact with a number of corporate and donor organizations in the push to turn the concept into reality, based on what he says is a sound business and marketing strategy.
Basically, sponsors are willing to pump in money where they see results or where they see that they have benefits. No corporate company, commercial company is going to pump in money where they don't see results.
The club and organization launching for East Coast FC is slated for the 27th of October, with a number of tickets for the event already sold. He hopes to have the club up and running soon, with various deadlines already set and reached thus far. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
Still in football, under pressure, Australia coach Ange Postecoglou defended his coaching methods on Wednesday. He said the Socceroos will stick to their high-tempo game plan despite missing out on direct qualification for next year's World Cup finals.
After Australia only managed a 2-1 win over Thailand on Tuesday, Saudi Arabia's 1-0 defeat of Japan condemned the Socceroos to home and away playoffs against Syria in October.
There's a brilliant header back.
If they get through that, the Socceroos would face the fourth-place team in Central and North American qualifying over 2 legs in November for a berth in Russia.
It is Takuma.
Australia's lack of finishing polish has been a hallmark of their campaign, heaping pressure on Postecoglou for trying to fashion an attacking game from a team lacking world-class players.
I won't be pushed into the shadows of Australian football history like others by just bowing to certain parts. Mate, I've survived much worse than this, and if anything, it motivates me to keep going because I want to make sure that Australian football gets on the right path.
Postecoglou's position has been openly challenged by former Australia goalkeeper and TV pundit Mark Bosnich, who said the man who guided Australia to the 2015 Asian Cup triumph had lost his way.
The hardest gap to bridge because only the very best do it. Only the very best can turn possession and domination of a game into results. And that's that fine little hurdle for us, but we'll keep having a crack at it. And I don't think we're far away.
Social media was also littered with disgruntled fans calling for the 52-year-old's head.
Oh, that's a brilliant goal.
Postecoglou, however, said he would wear the criticism and claimed his side was close to finding the consistency to challenge the best. Australia has never advanced beyond the group stage of a World Cup. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
Don't go anywhere, we have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To Rugby League, the NRL Finals footy kicked off with a cracker last night. The Sydney City Roosters hosting the Brisbane Broncos. Benji Marshall's elevation off the bench to start, piquing the interest of Kiwi fans, while the Roosters boasting one of the game's most exciting talents.
Close, though not quite, but it was a preview of what was to come. The Roosters owning the favourites tag, exposing the Broncos' poor first-half defence, producing 23 tackle busts and 6 line breaks in the first 40 minutes.
He sees some space, a big fend on Blair, the captain, he goes all the way.
Centre Tau Monga's illegal shot on Mitchell Pearce didn't help Brisbane's cause. Trailing 14-0 just before the break, former Kiwis playmaker Benji Marshall produced some old magic.
Marshall and Roberts, that's how the Broncos find some points.
Shane Marshall's good work was undone in the opening exchanges of the second half.
Again, out the back this time for Keary. There was some contact. Keary goes through a hole.
But then the holes began to appear in the Roosters' defence. Marshall's boot once again playing a significant part in the Broncos' comeback.
In the preliminary final, some mistakes. 40-20. Now a kick for the sideline. Ferguson kept it in play. Corey Oates is there.
Less than 10 to go, the Broncos on the verge of an upset before this Rooster ran rampant.
He set sail. Latrell Mitchell. Too strong, too quick, too good.
The Roosters' 24-22 victory booking their place in the preliminary final. The Broncos' season on the line when they face either Manly or Penrith next weekend.
And just before the news, the Melbourne Storms have defeated Parramatta Eels in the NRL preliminary finals 18-16. The match played at Amy Park in Melbourne saw the Eels leading on the scoreboard at halftime 10-4. In the second half, the Storms scored 2 tries to regain the lead. A penalty in the last 20 minutes of the second half, creating a 2-point buffer on the scoreline, allowing the Storms to walk away with the win this time. And the finals continue on EMTV later this evening, with the Manly Seagulls taking on Penrith Panthers and the Sharks taking on the Cowboys tomorrow. Moving on to netball, the New Zealand Silver Ferns have bounced back against England to take out the first match of the Tiny Jemison Trophy. The Silver Ferns and England Roses are competing in a 3-test series.
It was another tight battle against the Roses. The Ferns going into half-time break just 1 point up, while Maria Tutaia was finding her range with 84% shooting. But a strong fourth quarter was the difference. The Ferns outscoring England by 5 to take the match 62-55.
That was tough. That was a really good hustle that last quarter. Everyone just had each other's backs, rolling, just those long shots were getting nailed. So great grind that last quarter, definitely obviously gave it to us.
The series now heads to Napier for the second test on Sunday.
And to cricket, England's Ben Stokes has recorded new career best figures for England, taking 6 for 22 against West Indies in the third and deciding test.
This man prepared for the match with no plans for retirement. This man arrived at Lord's knowing it was his final test. Henry Blofeld of Test Match Special, dressed to stop the traffic for his final commentary.
Very good to be here, I think.
We hope for something of a West Indies revival to continue.
So I do. It'd be lovely if they won the series. It'd do their cricket so much good, wouldn't it?
There's widespread goodwill towards sportsmen representing the Caribbean, especially at this time. But runs in a test match are hard-earned, especially with James Anderson bowling. Test wickets number 498 and 499 came before lunch. Surely historic 500 would follow. Thing is, there were other England bowlers excelling. Ben Stokes was making the ball swerve and swing like never before. Repeatedly unplayable. As wickets fell to others, Anderson was desperately trying to get one. Well, how did that miss? The umpire didn't know. Anderson helped Stokes. Nice catch. But before he could bowl again, West Indies were all out for 123. Ben Stokes' best bowling, 6 for 22. Biggest compliment was that it reminded Lords of Anderson. Well, very good, but now it was England's turn to bat. And in conditions which were floodlit and autumnal, you had to watch the ball very closely. England lost 4 wickets in reply, including Cook and the captain Joe Root. They'll resume 77 runs behind, but guess who's now batting? No rest for Ben Stokes.
And that's how we end Trukai Sports. Up next, your weather details for Sunday. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
A look at the weather forecast in the southern region: Port Moresby, Daru and Kerma, mostly fine. Some showers expected in Alotau and Popondetta. To the Momasi region, some showers all across the region in Lae, Wau, Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Buka, some showers in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centres can expect some showers with morning fog.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Before we go, recapping our main stories tonight. LNG landowners told they will be paid. Families of deceased policemen clear roadblock, and the opposition members ready to debate budget. And that has been the news, sports and weather this Saturday, the 9th of September 2017. On behalf of the news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.